Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Come to you live from our comfy couch here in the Ask RC, and that's Gaming Saloon Reviews for June 15th, 2024, with your host, Peacemaker2448 and Rampant Epsilon.
Hello.
It's more Dynazeon.
Yay.
Also, one of these episodes, I forgot an entire part of it. I'm like, oh, that was your introduction to the show. That's not how I remember it. I remember the next episode. But yeah, it is 5 through 8. Thankfully, we are both in better shape to talk about Dynazeon this week. Hooray! Any thoughts before we get into the 4 episodes?
Nah.
Alright, then we'll just kick off with episode 5. What's lover like mean? So, Chise's practicing in Soldier because she's the backup in case... I guess technically Yamogi is not available, even though we'll find out later that technically anyone can pilot any of them.
Which is kind of funny.
Like, round robin that. But she brings up how, okay, Soldier and Wing can combine. Why not Soldier and Striker? Which will then... No one will point out that technically we don't have a Soldier Diver combo, really. The most it is Soldier lays on top of Diver and kind of controls it.
But not really.
Yeah. That is the most. I guess it's just because it's a limitation of how the robot's designed. Because Diver is just basically the hips and legs of Dynazeon, and Soldier is just the chest, so there's not a whole lot you can do. But yeah, they try the Striker combo. It gives them a whole bunch of firepower. Unfortunately, it's very top-heavy, so they just fall over. Everybody ends up dispersing for the day for the various B plots they're involved in, because I forgot how much everyone is just off doing their own thing in this show so often.
Right?
It's like Yamogi and Yume have their side plot. Koyomi has his side plot that Chise is slightly a part of, but technically she has her own side plot that's running just literally just in the background, and no one really is talking about it or paying attention to it because it's just like quick glances of what her side plot is. And like Galma is like the only one without a side plot, really? He's just here. I guess it's because he's the only one not hung up on something, is why. Like, not as much as everyone else is, as we'll find out in, like, a couple episodes.
True.
Anywho, we catch up with Yumi and Yamogi. They catch up with one of the people that was involved with the choir that her sister was a part of. They get footage of her during choir practice and stuff from some delisted videos, because they're delisted because they didn't want to get in trouble with the school because it does show them goofing off and stuff. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the school doesn't care. But it doesn't give Yumi the answer she's really after. Meanwhile, Komi is hanging out with Mato, who's Yamogi's boss, and is also an old friend of his from school. More or less, the plot with them is that she was a delinquent, more or less. Like, broke a school window, he covered for her. She took him to some, like, abandoned building or something and found, like, a big old duffel bag of money. I don't think we ever get told what that duffel bag of money is, or what it was for. They're just like, we found it, and that was the short and long of the conversation. And I'm like, are you sure you want to be messing with that? That feels like a mob plot that's about to happen. That's some mob money sitting there.
Well, I mean, she did kind of have to dye her hair.
Yeah.
Just saying, that probably was what that was supposed to go to, and they just didn't pull that trigger.
Yeah, some things go unsaid in this show when it comes to certain characters' plots, and I don't know if it's just because we don't have enough time, because it's 12 episodes, to really say what it is, or if we just want to leave it to your imagination what the specifics are.
I think it's they don't have enough time. Because in all seriousness, they don't really have enough time to flesh out everyone that we know about's story.
Yeah, because this is a 9 character show, practically. Because we have our 5 pilots, and then we have our 4 kaiju crew guys. And the show was about the 9 of them and kind of how they contrast each other, essentially. But anyway, he hangs out with her, and even though she's like married and like doesn't really know why she's hanging out with him, he's like, okay, cool. Like, he's getting the vibe of like she maybe wants more than this, but maybe not. It's like a one-time thing, maybe. It ends up being a 2-time thing later, but her husband is invited at the second time. It's one of those, I don't think Kiyomi knows what this is, and I don't think Yamato knows what either. They're just there because, I don't know, neither one of them have anything better to do than to go out and drink. Which is, from my understanding, is very common in Japanese work culture of just like, after you're done with work, you just go get drunk, and then that's just how it is. Like, drunk. Anyway, the next day we find out Chisei's got tickets to a water park, so our crew, plus Shizubu, who overhears them, and is just like, hey, can I come too? And Yamogi and Yumi are like, sure, it's fine. He seems harmless. But Galma takes this opportunity, it's like, this lets us capture him, and I feel like everyone is just like, you know what, Galma, sure. We'll go with that plan. That sounds fine. We get a little bit of like Yamogi and Yumi for a bit, and then we get kind of a montage, and more or less everyone's just enjoying their time and stuff as Galma Looney Tunes his way into failing miserably every time. He kind of wildly coyotes himself by just walking off the edge of a pool into the water. Just not paying attention. I appreciate that they very much point out that, yes, he is very stupid. But as we're doing this, Yumi sees somebody kind of like fall off into the water, and she gets a flash of what looks like a body in like a drainage ditch. We only see it for like literally a second, but it freezes her up and causes her to like kind of go off to this kind of like cave, like kind of sauna area to kind of like recollect herself. Yamogi follows her, and kind of like the two of them talk, and Shizumu chimes in about, people shouldn't be tied down by other people. Kaiju will free you and stuff. More or less the same nonsense kaiju stuff that the 4 of them spout all the time, and there's a point to be made about all that, but we'll get there. But anyway, the other kaiju people show up because they wanted to go, and they found Shizumu, and then they left to go control a kaiju. But they said they'd come back, and we see them at the end of the episode too. But the crew ends up having to go fight the kaiju. Shizubu is the one controlling the kaiju, keeps them from combining by like keeping Yumi and Dynawing kind of like away from the gang, and then tries to shoot her down. So Yamogi and Kiyomi do the striker combo to shoot the kaiju, and then they go Rex to kill it. And they end up at like a nearby river, and they all just hop in to like cool off after the fight. And then, like I said, we see the rest of the kaiju crew go back to the water park to just chill. You ever feel like our villains are like not that invested in what they say they are? at times.
A little bit, yeah.
Because I feel like that's like the point of it, of just like, yeah, they want to advance kaiju and this, that, and the other, but I'm like, y'all truly do just do this and then just fuck off to just do normal stuff. Like, you don't seem that invested in this. But we end the episode with Yomogi and Yumi meeting another person from the choir, and that person reveals to us that there was a rumor about her sister's accident, that it wasn't an accident, that it was suicide. But I do appreciate, for dramatic purposes, that it cuts off him mid-saying it was a suicide. Just to give you that little teaser to, like, ruminate on for a week on. But that takes us to episode 6, What is This Pain? We pick up the conversation. More or less, it seems like some of the other girls from the choir were maybe bullying her. But it is all connected to this one guy that Yumi's sister might have had a relationship with, might have not. It's a lot of, like, hearsay and rumor and not a whole lot of definitive, like, this is the case. Which I kind of appreciate, of just... It's long enough ago that no one really knows, and I guess no one was really paying attention. So there's no, like, definitive answer on it. And I don't know if we ever get a real definitive answer on it. If I'm being honest, I don't remember. But anyway, he's got some private videos that he's going to share with Yumi later. Yubugi ends up telling Yumi after the meeting, just like, hey... Or when Yumi asks him, it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you following me along this? And he's like, because I want to. Because I want to help, more or less. Yumi brings this up to the crew, and they all support her, like, seeing through this, whatever the eventual answer is going to be. Koyomi, on the other hand, ends up meeting Yamato's husband in the meeting, little sit-down meeting later, gets absolutely drunk, and then just kind of leaves. Ends up running into Mujina of the Kaiju crew later randomly and gets more drunk and then kind of passes out at, like, the entrance to a subway, and Mujina just steals Stryker off of him just because it was just sitting there out of his pocket. I think I missed that the Kaiju crew had a conversation about, like, should we kill the Dynazeon pilots? And Shizun was like, no, it's fine. Like, they brought up the valid point of, yo, if we just killed them, they wouldn't be a problem anymore. We also get another instance of Yomogi's mom seeing the guy that she's been seeing, and Yomogi's there, and he feels like he's a little bit more, like, okay with it this time than the first time we saw the meeting. Like, a little bit, but not a whole lot. Anyway, the crew minus Yomogi and Yumi find out about Koyomi's situation, so it's just Koyomi, Galma, and Chisei, and they decide to go get Stryker back, and thankfully, the Dynazeon parts have LoJack on them, and that you can use one to find the others. That's convenient. I assume they can find each other, and that's just not a thing Diver only can do. But they ended up finding them at their little warehouse place, and Koyomi causes a distraction so that Galma can get Stryker, and actually, like, accesses Stryker and makes it go big. He tries to get the Kaiju, but the Kaiju crew, but the warehouse collapses and they get away. We catch up with Mug and Yumi. They're kind of, like, pulling apart a bit because Yumi's kind of, like, caught up. Because I think... Did I miss where she saw... Yeah, she saw the private video at this point. It was just like it feels like a harmless prank pulled on her sister. I may be, like, the last person to, like, make that assumption about anything, but it feels like a harmless prank where they're just like, they've stolen the little Ankh puzzle of hers and made it look like they threw it out a window, but really they just put it on a tarp outside a window and just made her look for it.
It feels like that was the intent of it, but in light of everything we've leaded up to, it's one of those I have to wonder if that actually was what they were wanting.
Yeah, it feels harmless, but maybe that's because of all the editing and stuff and all the text and this, that, the other they did to the video. But like, it's another one of those. I'm just like Yumi, where I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know whether that's actually bullying or not. Because it's just one instance of this one prank, and that's it. We don't even know how long between when she died and this prank happened. Because I don't think we ever really get a timeline of events. So, I kind of feel for Yumi of just being like, I don't know how to feel about this at all. But yeah, Shizumu tries to talk to Yumi, and like Yamogi sees this, and like Yumi kind of like stonewalls him about like what Shizumu talked to her about. So that's got him down. Kyoyomi's down about everything with Matsu. And all of this culminates with the four of them having to take on a kaiju that is being controlled by not Shizumu. I forgot her name already. Mujina and Angry Guy. I unfortunately only remember two of the kaiju crew's names. I know there's Angry Guy, there's Glasses Man, there's Mujina, and there's Shizumu. That's it. I don't remember the names of the other two. But anyway, since they're all down and stuff, Dynazeon's not at like full power, and then ends up getting crushed by the kaiju, and even like Diver gets damaged in the fight. Unfortunately for them, as they're like getting crushed and stuff because the kaiju's got gravity powers, a giant in purple shows up. It's Grid Knight from Gridman's show. He shows up for the save, and that's where the episode ends. So how you feel about our first half?
Again, a lot of stuff happened.
Yeah. It's part of the reason why I guess I didn't feel like doing notes the first time, because there's a lot of setup in the first 4 episodes, and it's like, there's a lot of bouncing back and forth and this, that, and the other, and it's better about that in this batch of episodes, but oh boy, do we go around a lot to like get everything squared away in those first 4. But I'm enjoying the show. I'm enjoying this, at least Yamogi and Yumi's side plot, because it is just like, okay, well, where is this going to go? Where does this eventually end up? Because like, even I'm just like, I've seen this show and I don't remember where this eventually leads. I guess, any other thoughts?
No.
All right then, episode 7. What's our reason for coming together? We roll back in time just a little bit as we see Night in second. Auntie goes by Night now and is clearly older. We don't know how much, and the same with second. We don't know how much older they are, but they're clearly older. They're wearing suits. And as we find out later, they're part of the Grid Knight Alliance. And they also have a capsule that I guess is a portion of Gridman's fixer beam for emergency purposes, I guess. But I guess it still plays into the fact of, we really don't know what organization Gridman and his crew are attached to, but I guess Grid Knight and Second are a part of it now and are traversing worlds, because they specifically say that they have arrived in this world because kaiju have showed up, and it lets them get to this world easier because kaiju showing up kind of weakens the barriers between worlds. But we see Knight fight the kaiju. He forces the kaiju crew to evac the monster. And after that, Knight just socks Dynazeon on the face and tries to fight them because he's upset at them for being bad at their job, before he just kind of like poofs out because he used too much energy. We see Kiyomi break off because he spots Mato's husband kind of like half hanging out of a car in like the wreckage of the fight. So he goes to like check on him, which leaves the other three to go try to find the kaiju. Yumogi Yumi searches in the air. Galma searches underwater. Neither of them find anything, and then they end up at a nearby island that Chise will find them at because she spotted them flying nearby the island on social media, because ain't nobody being subtle in this show. I am surprised the kaiju and stuff is not more of a thing on like social media and stuff in this show, and like more of a talked about thing amongst like regular people, surprisingly, since we don't have the thing of time is being reset, or like memories are being reset every day, so no one remembers the kaiju fight that happened last week. But we see that the kaiju crew are in hiding, and they're upgrading the monster for a future fight. We check in with Kiyomi. He finds the husband. He starts to walk away, but then he decides to save him and like get him to a nearby rescue crew, because that's the right thing to do. And he ends up meeting back up with the crew. He'll tell Galma later about this, and Galma's like, "Good on you." But as he arrives, that's when Knight and Second show up, introduce themselves, and they're like, we're here to help you." And Galma's like, "I don't trust either one of you. Piss off." And I appreciate how much Second just is like, okay, rude, but fine. She takes it far more cordially than Knight does. Knight is ready to just throw hands with everybody involved. Even though there are only, like, what, 2 adults here?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm ready. I will throw hands with kids. But we end up catching up with Yumogi and Yumi at this point. They catch up, kind of reconciled. Yumi kind of, like, comes clean about how she feels about her whole sister situation and stuff. How she feels like she doesn't know her anymore, even though she thought she knew her growing up, but then they grew apart, and then this happened, and the more she's trying to find answers, and the more nothing makes sense, and it's just really confusing, and Yogi feels bad for her, and like they kind of like reconcile and are back together. Chise is also kind of like keeping an eye on everyone, kind of being, unfortunately, the third wheel in the pairs at the moment. I kind of feel bad for her being kind of the fifth wheel of this group. But eventually the next day, Kaiju shows up. Knight goes to fight it. Dynazeon crew also tries to go fight it, but Dynazeon's injured. Second uses the fixer beam capsule in her wand to fix Dynazeon. And so the two of them take out the Kaiju fairly easily. Everybody's on the same page, and the Grenade Alliance are like, well, stick around and help out when needed. And then they leave. Which takes us to episode 8. What is this wavering emotion? Shizumu ends up spotting like a small kaiju that some kids are like poking around at, and it's like, wow, this is a waste of time. I'm just gonna leave it alone. It ends up covering Galma's face in a bunch of like paint and stuff, and also some other places and stuff, because it's just a nuisance of a kaiju. We see them continue their search for the guy that her sister was possibly in a relationship with, called Futaba. They find an old workplace of his, but he doesn't work anymore, and so it's kind of a dead end. Eventually the crew finds out about this kaiju, and they go to try to find it. Yumogi and Yumi end up finding it just in the field nearby, and Yumogi's like, I'm gonna go capture it, and as he goes to, it just falls over because it is it is clumsy and pitiful and like not that good. So they kind of just tie it up and bring it back to their base, which is Galma's living quarters under an overpass. I am surprised no one has tried to run him off.
I mean, fair.
But Galma is like ready to kill it, but then Yumogi's like, but maybe not. It seems harmless and, fine. So Galma's like, fine, I'll try to control it. He tries to do the thing. Doesn't work. Chisei tries it. Doesn't work. Yomogi tries it. Or not Yomogi. Koyomi tries it. Doesn't work. Yumi tries it. Doesn't work. Yomogi tries it, and it looks like it works for a second, but not really. But it's also clear for a split second that there is a connection made. But when they take it back to base, Second and Night are there, and they pretty much explain how kaiju come from a source of some sort. Like, they're not natural. Something has to, be distributed to make kaiju, and then that thing feeds off human emotions in order to grow into whatever the kaiju ends up growing into. I think in episode 1, we see somebody spread the seeds we've seen, because Chisei has had a seed in her pocket this entire time, and we've seen it kind of, grow roots and stuff and start to take shape. By the end of this episode, it starts to look like a dragon, like the skeleton of a dragon. And that's been happening every episode of this patch, is that Chisei will take it out and we'll see that it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And she's not told anyone that she has this thing that is probably a kaiju, although I'm pretty sure she doesn't even know what the hell it is.
She doesn't, and I would assume almost everyone else in the show probably wouldn't know either.
Yeah, it's just this weird rock thing that she found that is growing. That seems normal and fine. But yeah, the gang decides to not kill the kaiju, but keep it contained for now. And meanwhile, our kaiju crew has just pissed off to some mall somewhere in town, and they're just goofing off. They are not involved with this kaiju. They don't even know it exists. Most of them, except Shizubu, won't even know this kaiju grows and dies in the course of this episode. Which really goes to show how dedicated they are to their cause.
Yeah.
But the next day, the kaiju does escape Galma. It grows big. Knight ends up with Yomogi and tells him, look, if this kaiju is going to kill people, you got to kill it. There is a line. When it goes across that line, you have to take it out. That is not a question. Are you okay with that? Because you have to be. And we see that eventually it's threatening to kind of destroy this local mall, kind of stumbling wise. And we see that Yumi is kind of trapped in there with a whole bunch of civilians. She doesn't have Striker on her because it got knocked out of her hands over a balcony. Thankfully, the parts of Dynazeon are really strong, because it looks like it falls about 4 floors when it gets knocked out of her hand.
At least. And it just bounces and lands.
Yeah. It looks like it's sturdier than her phone, because her phone only just falls to the floor next to her, and I'm like, that thing's probably cracked, because that doesn't look like it's in the case. But yeah, Yomogi and Knight kind of combine together. Yomogi's soldier kind of turns into a cannon for Knight to wield, because that's just what Knight does with all the different things that he interacts with. They just turn into weapons for him.
And apparently the pieces of Dynazeon just react to Knight.
It's being vaguely connected to Gridman, I guess. So they're connected to Grid. I don't know. It's the thing of just, you are big giant robot, you're big giant not robot, but kind of robotic in design connection.
But okay. I don't think the show establishes this, and
No.
it's more it hints what I'm fixing to say. But you said that Knight is anti.
Yeah.
It was adapting to Gridman. So
Yep.
if anything, shouldn't Knight be adapting to Dynazeon instead?
Yes, but we're not there yet.
It's one of those. We went the opposite way this time. Okay.
Look, this is I will just say this right
bear
now.
in mind, the show does not establish that fact. As far as anything that is known show-wise, Knight is a completely new character.
Yeah. Which is weird if you're coming at this from Gridman, because you're like, oh wait, I know you too. But the show doesn't like really acknowledge the fact that it's them. That's just, they could practically be new characters, which is why you can kind of watch these shows in either order. Because we'll have an episode in our last batch where you get hints of the things that happened in Gridman with Knight, but it's only vaguely, and it's non-specific. So if you know, you know, but if not, it's like a real background thing in the episode because the episode's more focused on everybody else.
Well, not to mention, anyhow, it would be hard even watching both shows, I think, to even make a direct line there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for all intents and purposes, Gridman was kind of set up to be a story that could be viewed as a Elseworld story kind of deal, where it may not necessarily take place in a main continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning we could be looking at the same thing here too, which could then mean that this could be an entirely different two people that just so happen to have similar experiences. I
will say
it's one of those, the way they've set it up is awesome for a multi-world kind of concept.
Yeah.
Is that necessarily what they were going for? Probably not, but...
The Gridman Universe movie does get into this a bit. Because it's a bit meta-textual a little bit.
Fair.
But yeah, it gets into this a little bit with like all the whole multi-world shenanigan stuff. But anyway, I will also just spoil, yes, there is a combination with Grid Knight and Dynazeon, but we are missing a piece to facilitate that combination. If you're wondering, is it that specific thing that we've been hinting at for several episodes? Yes. I'll just tell you now, yes. That's the piece we've been missing.
Well, I mean, you'll just say it now, even though in 2 weeks we would be seeing it anyhow.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there.
It's the thing in Chisei's pocket. It's the dragon in her pocket, literally. But anywho. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I'm just gonna put this out there. I knew of a thing, did not know that was exactly the thing.
Oh, what?
Because I kind of whoopsed when I was trying to remember who the voice actors for the second is, because it was oddly specific. Just to figure out that the voice actress is the same one that is the voice of Bulma.
Oh.
Which then I was like, okay, yeah, that's exactly where I heard that from.
I was about to say, I know. Oh, it's oh, why am I blanking on her name? Main girl from Gridman. One second. Rika. Her voice actor, Yumi Miyamoto, is in like other Toku stuff. I forget what it specifically was.
Bear in mind, I'm watching the dub.
Oh, fair.
So that was what I was sitting there. I'm like, I recognize this voice. Why? What else have you done?
Never mind. Never mind. It'd be different voice actors in general.
Yes.
For reference, I am watching it subbed. I am also, unfortunately, having to watch downloaded copies of it. Granted, I could just be watching my Blu-ray copy of the show because I have the Blu-ray.
Or, I mean, you could be watching the link that I've put on the site for everyone to watch too.
Oh. The problem I found was, for some reason, the subs were desynced when I tried to watch.
Huh.
Yeah, I was watching the first episode and I'm like, wait a minute, these subs are desynced. And then I tried to watch, like, I think I may have watched episode 2 and they were also desynced, and I was like, what the hell? Why are the subs desynced?
Maybe it's just something weird with that then.
Yeah, so that's why it's swapped to just copies of the episodes I downloaded. Because I was like, this is very confusing and annoying.
I've just been watching the dub on both so far, so.
Fair. I'm
probably losing something with it, but at the same time, I'm like, I am fine with sacrificing that.
I doubt it. As far as I know, the dubs are good. The only downside is there's no Gridman Universe dub, because they've never bothered to produce it. Granted, the movie is still not released in any capacity outside of a theatrical release or on the one airplane that people got the copy off of that has English subs. I am still baffled by that. Literally, I believe somebody on the dubcast was like, hey, why is this movie not out officially? So, like, they have not done a dub for it. And it's been a year plus since the movie came out. And we still don't have it officially released in any capacity. So I don't understand.
Probably just not enough support.
I would say that, but it got a release. It got a preview release at some convention for the sub. And like I said, there's an official English sub of the show that was on an airplane. Viewable on an airplane. So some work went somewhere. We just don't know who's responsible for it. Anywho. Back in the episode, just to wrap it up. Yamogi tries to connect to the kaiju, and he gets it. He connects to it, but then he's like, oh, this thing's gonna kill them. Okay, yeah, I understand now. And then him and Knight blow it up. Well, they more just incinerate it instead of blowing it up, since it's on top of the mall by the time they shoot. But they do save everybody. Team can reconnects. All happy. Knight just does deck Galma in the gut for being the one mainly responsible for letting this happen. Because it's like, they're kid. 3 of these people are kids. One of them is an adult but doesn't know any better. You should know better. You get a punch to the gut for not knowing better. And I do appreciate Galma's like, yep, I deserve that. Lesson learned. I will also say the Dynazeon crew assumes the kaiju crew are controlling this one, but they are not. Not even Shizubu's controlling it, and he's the one watching the fight the entire time. But yeah, Yumi thanks Yomogi for the save later, and we kind of end with Chisei's seed continuing to grow like it has the last 4 episodes. And also the kaiju crew continues to just goof off, because I feel like the whole point of the show is that it's showing a lot of characters that are kind of stuck in their ways and kind of just stuck in life and are not able to really move forward. But our Dynazeon crew are finding ways to move forward and move past their issues, whereas our kaiju crew are stuck in the past controlling kaiju like they did 5,000 years ago, when in reality they just don't need to do that anymore. They clearly can just be themselves and be happy. I think that's kind of just the point of the show at this point. I feel like I just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Because it's not like our villains are that villainous for the most part. They kind of just are like, well, we want to make kaiju dominant and all that. And when that fails, they're just like, oh, well, clock out, go get drinks or go bowling or whatever, and enjoy modern day life. Galma's kind of hung up about 5,000 years ago, but even he's just moved on. He's had 5 different part-time jobs we've seen over the course of the show.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically just like, well, I'm fine living normal life and stuff. And, like, he's passing on wisdom to the crew. But yeah, that is our episodes for the week. Any thoughts on the back end?
No.
All right, then. Guys, gonna continue to be good. And in 2 weeks, we wrap up the show with the final 4 episodes. And then 2 weeks after that, we wrap up this little mini trilogy with the Gridman Universe movie. Hooray. And then I don't know what we're doing after that.
I thought we were doing the next one. Or... Hold on, I'm looking at 2 different things here. Hold on.
Okay.
What all did you say now?
In 2 weeks, we wrap up Dynazeon, and then after that's Gridman Universe to wrap up this trilogy. I don't know what's after Gridman Universe.
So you done forgot we were gonna do a rewatch at Drive?
Oh, okay. I was just like, is it the Rewatch a Drive? Okay.
Yes.
I was like re-looking at the projects right now, and I was just like, okay, it is Rewatch a Drive because it is that order, vaguely ish. Yep. At least the 3 that are marked planning are that order. I'm willing to say right now. Past that, I don't know. That is the ideas list. I am not willing to commit to that order. Unless there's I was about to say, unless there's a particular one you want after Drive. Because one is, well, all of these are like full shows, and only one of them is like, I like a 2 to 4 episode, just kind of like rando thing. I'm not sure how many weeks we do it. It's more of a, this is just a rando thing we could do just for fun. But yeah, that's the look ahead for TSR. But for the rest of the week between now and then, tomorrow is something. Because we finished the multi-world last night, so...
Yeah. Slash this morning.
Yep.
I haven't gotten to look at Monster Hunter, so I don't know what it did.
Fair.
Why do I get the feeling I'm just gonna say Halo and be done with it and regret that decision tomorrow?
It'll be fun. You know, we could just not do multiplayer. We could just do something else. Within the context of Halo.
Yeah, but what? Because we've kind of done a good little bit that's not multiplayer.
Yeah. I figured I'd just throw it out there.
I know, but that's one of those. I'm like, yeah, but what? Elaborate farther on that one.
My only other thought is, I don't know. Go diving into Halo campaign mods. I don't know.
No offense to anyone that makes Halo campaign mods, but I always feel like it's missing something every time that I've played one. And it can be a really good one, but for some weird reason I still get that feeling, and I'm like, I don't want to unintentionally bash someone's good job because I'm feeling weird with it kind of deal.
Yeah, it's like we've enjoyed the cursed Halo stuff, but I think that's just because it is so, it fully embraces its concept.
And it doesn't really change story beats, really.
No.
It's kind of like a enhancement to it kind of deal, as opposed to a trying to tell its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, by no means is this me saying that they're garbage, don't play any of them. No, there's good ones there. It's just, I always feel like, because it doesn't match what I'm used to from the main story, that it's like, it's missing something. That's honestly not a bad thing to the people doing those mods. That's a good thing to the fact that the story was told really well by Bungie. And it's hard to match that same energy all the way through.
And we do mean Bungie specifically, because the 343 is a conversation if itself for its campaigns.
Yeah.
I've mentioned to you that it's more than just one. It's now a remake of all three. Supposedly. I'm like, that is, oh, you're asking for trouble. I don't care how good the concept Halo 3 campaign was that I watched a video about, of like what Halo 3 was supposed to be campaign wise at its very earliest stages before they had to cut it back. But like, no. Even if you threw all this in here, no, I don't trust 343, because 343 clearly has no idea what they're doing. Anywho, that's tomorrow. Next Thursday, I'm doing more Chrono Trigger. Next Friday, it is Sonic. Multi-Sonic. And then next Saturday will be TGS, where we'll maybe get to talk about a Direct. We'll at least get to talk about an Xbox showcase, which was more of a Bethesda showcase, but that is the conversation to have next week. Anything else?
No.
All right, then. If you like what you see, and drop a follow. Really appreciate chipping away that feel like go at TGS Network on Mastodon social, and at TGS Soon on Twitter. Leave you updates when we're live. Next Point Discord and Jack is listening. Drop by, say hi. See you tomorrow, folks.